Hi guys! Notice anything different? Anything at all? I have a new camera, and so now you should be viewing everything in lovely 1080p, or 1080 penis, as Red Reeno says. Let's get around these cycly friends. Goodbye. I have a motorised cycle. So yeah, I got a new camera, finally! I've been wanting this camera for so long. I've always had this one plan of having like a two cam setup, and my original plan was to buy a bit of a fucking hell. Jesus Christ, I need to get killed by the tree. It's not as dramatic as that, but maybe I should make it. Debris falls from tree, rider nearly dies. Oh my god, that was quite funny though. I'm glad I got that on camera. But yeah, I've wanted to have a 2-cam setup for a long time, and I thought, okay, what I could do is improve my helmet camera, and then use my current helmet camera as a secondary camera, because it doesn't matter if that one's not as, you know, high quality, because it'll only be facing me. But Drift stopped making these cameras, and I didn't want to buy the 4K one. There was no point. And I didn't have money to buy this camera at the time that they were making it. And then I saw that someone was selling it, and I thought, yes, I would like to buy that camera. But the funny story is, on the way to going to get this camera, I ended up getting lost. Now, I haven't been lost, like properly lost, for a long time. And these days, it's kind of hard to be lost because of all the technology that you've got around. Like, any time normally that I'm lost, I just whip out my phone, use Google Maps, and hey ho, I know where I'm going. You can find out where you are, you can find out where you need to go, and whatever. The problem is, I was using my phone as a sat-nav to get to the place that I needed to go to, and I didn't have much battery before I left. And I thought, oh, it'll be fine, it'll get me there, and then once I'm there, I can, you know, use my instincts to get back. Getting back to where I need to go is not a problem, because I know exactly where I need to go. I know like the names of the roads that I need to be on and all that stuff, and you can just follow general signs. If you're going somewhere you've never been before and it's a specific road and a specific place, sometimes it's a lot harder because you need to know exactly where you're going. Now, I didn't memorize the route. Jesus, that branch has probably killed some people. I didn't memorise the route. I only knew that I needed to get to a certain place, which I knew how to get to, and then from that point onwards I was going to let Google Maps just take me there. That was a dumb move to start with. Always remember and memorise your route wherever you go, if it's somewhere you've never been to before. So I was nearly there. I was about 4 minutes away from where I needed to be, and my phone was not updating me anymore, so I decided to pull over and have a look, and my phone had died, and I thought, oh great. I'm here, I'm in the location, but I don't know specifically where I need to go. And I feel like I could remember the road name, and I'm pretty sure I could remember the number of the house I needed to go to. But I was still a bit like, I didn't really know where else that was. So what I decided to do, I did turn my phone back on, and it turned on for like 2 minutes. And, well, literally like 1 minute. I managed to get my phone on, I managed to go onto Google Maps, I managed to find out where I needed to go. As in, like, I typed in the road name and saw that it was 4 minutes away. And I was like, okay, I need to take, like, this second right, then go up here, and then maybe take this right here, and then my phone died. And I was like, great. So I have two options. Either I can go home, even though I'd spent ages trying to get there in the first place, and I was there, I was 4 minutes away, and I could either go all the way back home, or I could try and find it. So I thought, let's try and find the place, because I'm only 4 minutes away, and once I'm there, you know, I can find my way back, so that's not a problem. So I decided to take that second right, which took me into a town. Now, in that town, I was thinking, oh great, I can't remember whether I'm supposed to take this left, or what road I'm supposed to go down. I don't want to get really lost. So I went back to the point where I was originally, because it leads you back to a town, and that's like a main place. You know, it's like a checkpoint, if you will. You always need a checkpoint and a reset point if you ever feel like you're getting lost. So I went back to the town, and I saw they had a sign for a library, and I thought, yes, that's what I need. Luckily, I grew up in a time where, you know, phones were relatively new. Like, everyone sort of had one, but not everyone had a mobile phone. Now, I know a lot of people older than me grew up in a time where there were no mobile phones, but because I didn't have one until, like, I was 15, or something like that. I was still in the time where, you know, you go out and you have to be back at a certain time before it's dark, whatever. You take a watch with you so you know what time you've got to be back. You don't have a phone to tell you when you're going to be back. You don't have a phone to contact anyone. So you just go by times, you go by time of day, stuff like that. So I know what it's like to be in those times. So I feel like I've still got the instinct to do what you need to do, the typical things when you feel like you're getting lost, which is find and ask someone for help, you know, which normally is scary for people if you're worried about talking to people you don't know, but when you're lost, you kind of need to. So I thought, best place to go is a library, because library's going to have computers, and I can use a computer to go on Google Maps and find out where I need to go, how to get to the place I need to go. Because I knew the road name, I knew the number, I just didn't know how to get there, where it was. So I decided to go to the library. I didn't know where the library was. I knew there was a sign pointing to it. So in the middle of the town, I pulled up, I just asked this random lady, I was like, excuse me, do you know where the library, do you know how to get to the library? She's like, oh yes, you just go this way, that way. She gave me directions. I ended up taking those directions. I got to the library. I was like, yes, this is going to solve all my problems. I walked up to the library door and it was closed. The only day it was closed was the day that I was there. And I was thinking, come on, seriously? Why is it the only day it closes is the day that I need it? And then at that point I felt really lost because I had no phone. I couldn't message anyone. I couldn't message the person I was supposed to be meeting to tell them to meet me. I couldn't message, you know, people that I knew, and I thought, oh, what am I going to do? Am I just going to try and go home, or am I going to try and find this place? So I thought, you know what? At that point, I just went back to my original checkpoint, which was along this seafront, and ended up at like this Coast Guard's place. And I thought, oh, maybe I'll just ask him if they've got a phone I could use, because then I could literally just phone the only number I know off by heart, my home phone. So maybe I could message Spicy that way. It'd be like, ask my mum to send him a message or something and be like, just let him know that my phone has died. You know, you always know a number that you can call in any situation. You always need backup points. So I thought maybe I'd do that, and they were like, they didn't have a phone I could use, but they did have Google Maps. And I don't know why. I don't know whether I'm like really good at using Google Maps, or these people were just not really that great at using Google Maps. Because first of all, they Googled the road. And I'm thinking, why don't you just open Google Maps and do it that way? It's so much easier. But they decided to Google the actual place and then try and find it on Google, and which was really frustrating. But they managed to find it in the end. This lady found it. She was like, oh yes, it's here. You need to take this road and that road. At that point, I then had road names that I could use. So I was like, yes, all I need to know is that you can use this road to get to that road, and this road name. So all I needed was road names. Now that I had two, I knew that I could get to that road. And if I got lost, I could ask someone how to get to those roads, because they were like really close. And some local person would know it. And that's eventually what I did. I ended up speaking to this random lady, and she was just like, oh yes, I think I know where that is. And she was so nice. She actually... Oh fucking hell, when did he drop the bike? Jesus Christ. She actually offered to drive me there, as in me follow her car, even though it was literally like 2 minutes away and I could remember the directions she gave me. Because that's another thing, my memory is so bad. I always worry if someone gives me too many directions, I'm going to get it wrong, and I'm going to forget one step, and it's going to change everything. So I knew I only had like 3 steps to do, so I was going to make it, but she offered to drive there. And I thought, that's so nice, what a lovely lady. So I followed her there, found where I needed to go, got the camera, got everything sorted out, and then all was fine. I could make my way back because I knew... See, getting back places is easy. Going to places sometimes is harder. But yeah, so that's how you sort of get yourself out of a situation, you know, when you're lost. Always find a landmark, always talk to people. And I feel like you get an advantage when you're a woman and you're lost, because if you speak to a random person, they're just probably going to speak to you nicely. Like, you could go up and speak to a random lady and she's not going to be scared of you, she's not going to be worried, she'll give you direction, she'll help, go out of their way to help, which is what that lady did for me. But I feel like if I was a guy, they probably wouldn't do that. She probably wouldn't have offered to drive me there. I feel like that's being sexist, but I feel like that's what today's world is like, though. You know, I feel like she probably wouldn't. Probably just give him directions and tell him to leave, or be worried. She did look a bit weird when I was driving up to her, because I just kind of like rode up to the side of the path and was like, "Excuse me." But yeah, lovely people. So don't be afraid to talk to people. You know, I think loads of people are too scared to even talk to people they don't know, like strangers. You're always told not to talk to strangers as a kid, which is, you know, fair enough. And fair enough when you're an adult, because you don't know who's a murderer these days and whatnot. But most people are just normal people. Don't be afraid to talk to them. Always have a landmark we can go back to, and you should be fine. Always remember your route as well. Do not just trust some kind of internet map thing to take you somewhere, because that way I probably would have remembered where I was going and it would have been fine. But it was fine in the end. It did take me like an extra hour though. There was a lot of traffic too, but that probably helped, probably added to it. Oh my god, this bike. So yeah, I feel like it's not really that hard to get lost these days, because, you know, you can just talk to a random person and they'll probably have, if they've got a smartphone, they've got Google Maps. If you've got Google Maps, you're never lost. You can never be lost. But if your phone's dead and you're on your own, then you start to worry, because then you know you've got nothing to help you. And if there are no people around, that's when it gets a bit harder. But you can always find your way back. It's not a problem. It's not really too much of an issue. But yeah, as I was saying before about getting lost, I feel like anyone who's of an older generation aren't going to have too much of a problem with it, because they probably grew up in a time where you didn't have that kind of technology to help you out if you were lost. And it's such a great thing to have now, so that you could just use it. Anyone, almost everyone has a smartphone, so if you get lost, you're guaranteed, if you just speak to at least one person, as long as you're in a place where they speak the same language as you, you're probably not going to have an issue. You can just ask them to look on Google Maps, and they should be able to find the place easy, without an issue at all. But it does make me think about, you know, the younger generations. If they got lost, what would they do? Would they have the instincts to go to like a public place? Or would they just be like, oh, well, I'm lost now, I don't know what to do, because I don't have a phone to tell me where to go? That's kind of what I think about. I don't know, what do you guys think? Do you guys think about that, or do you think, no, they probably just would go to a library or something? You know, because not many people know libraries exist anymore, because no one really goes to them, I don't think. But, you know, you think public library, best place to go. They've got everything. When was the last time you were lost? Because the last time I was lost prior to that, I was like really young, and me and my sisters went on this like adventure, and we went down these little roads, and we ended up just somewhere we had no idea where we are. And at the time, I don't think any of us had a phone, and we didn't. Even if we did have a phone, we didn't have Google Maps. That was like some kind of luxury on iPhones only or something at that time. And we just ended up down this road, and we were kind of like, oh, we don't know where we are, and we just kind of went back on our steps. But I used to do that a lot when I was younger, go exploring and just walk down random places. Because when you're young, you know, it's more impressive. You don't really know where places are, and you don't really go that far from like where you live. So walking like further places is like a big mystery. When you're older, you can just look on Google Maps, because, you know, technology these days, and then you can just think, oh yeah, I can just go here. Although now I find it harder to find places to go, even though there's so many places to go. Then when I was younger, you just kind of walk around and end up somewhere. I don't know, when was the last time you guys were like truly lost? The point where you had no contact with anyone and you kind of just had to ask a random person for directions. Let me know, it'll be interesting to hear your stories. But I think I'll leave it here today. See you in the next video, bye!